Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the Make Women Great Again convention that is happening in Orlando, Florida. And I'm also going to share a little bit about somebody who made a YouTube video about it and a little bit about her background, some other things that she's shared online. And this person I discovered this because of Stefan Molyneux's reaction to this event and to this woman. And I do think that her response is perhaps extreme in how emotional and how angry she gets about it. But I just want to encourage anyone watching who maybe is a woman to kind of try to do some of that reflection of saying, what are some of the deeper beliefs that were causing her to react that way? And do I actually have some of those perhaps in a more mild-mannered way? I just really wanted to get a video out there because I thank you for all the new subscribers. I know it's been a mega long time because my third little girly is almost 5 months old now. The event itself, Make Women Great Again, is put on by a bunch of men, and that is one thing that makes feminists go crazy.
You too can learn how to be the most amazing, most wonderful, most feminine woman by a group of men.
And I looked on their website, and it does appear to me that their real target audience is for the women who feel a little bit like torn. And sometimes women can be hesitant to take upon a new worldview without encouragement. And sometimes women almost look to other people to like give them permission to go ahead and just go that path. And I feel like that's what this is. It's for the women who are saying, something is not working. I don't like what's going on. I hear one thing, I feel another. I'm confused. I'm miserable. I'm single. I'm whatever. Like maybe I want to do a different way, because I care more about the results that I get in my life and happiness than some ideological idea of this is the right way to be if you're a woman, but like I want my life to actually be better. And that's what they're really playing to and trying to offer.
The event promises to cover all topics that are currently ruining relationships for women, including, but not limited to, feminism, infertility, acting too confident, body positivity. This course is guaranteed to raise your femininity by 500%. By 500. How in the hell do you get that percentage? How do you increase your femininity by 500%? You probably have to stop wearing sweatpants. I'm out.
Wow. Reminds me of when they fact-checked Trump about the burgers, like how many burgers he gave to the football players. Like, no, it was not a mile high of burgers. False. He lied. They talk about fertility. They talk about fitness. They talk about like attracting, well, they phrased it as beating the competition and finding a good man. They talked about also they did have the phrase like make unlimited babies, which was another thing this woman got mad about. And so that's some of the stuff that they hit on. And it's basically a lot of things that women do care about, but feminism tends to rag on it or put it in, try to frame all these things in a way where you're a horrible woman if you do want babies. You're a horrible woman if you do want to have good fitness, and then that's not body positivity or whatever. So anyway, they're just saying the total opposite. They really play into that being just straightforward about how anti-feminist this whole convention is, and that they are attacking a lot of the beliefs, and that they blame feminism for a lot of the problems that women have. I mean, just sky-high depression, sky-high anxiety, just so many problems. Women are not, I would argue, not doing particularly wonderfully. And I would even say for women who maybe are more in a position like me or in conservative circles, you do have kids, you do have a husband, you could be happier if you recognize some of the things that, how some of these ideas out there are false. And I think it does limit a lot of people's joy, even when they already are in that mother role. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, like you can enjoy your life so much better if you learn to shed off some of this stuff. So, okay. So with this internet woman, a little bit about her. Stefan shared more about this, but she had actually written something else, sharing a little just to give a background on her. She's a mom of three. She's a teacher. She kind of like works from home. She or maybe she just was a teacher. But what she had shared on the internet was a story about where she got really, really mad and totally lost it and dismembered one of her kids, like a penguin stuffed animal or something. So yeah, she's one of those people who kind of, she like admitted, like, I was looking crazy, I was feeling crazy, like, I really am having a hard time. In her response to this event, at one point, to the unlimited babies point, she was like, I'm losing my mind. And she was getting really mad about how much she's struggling as a mom of three. And then Stefan just is very calmly, Stefan just kind of is calmly like going through a lot of her points.
Women have been telling men how to be better in relationships, how to better serve their needs. But you see, the moment that there's like 0.00001% of men expressing their needs and saying what would be better for men in relationships, it's just completely wrong, evil, bad, and must be crushed.
I'm not that patient to go ahead and do that or to go through all of his points and respond to him as well. But I will say, as far as Stefan's reaction to this, I'll definitely link it because I believe it's really worth watching to just hear like a level-headed thought of, okay, stop. Okay, this is what she's saying. Why is this a problem? What are they saying? Let's try to, bring down the emotions and not put horrible intentions upon these people who are putting on this convention.
Because women have gotten out of control lately, and it is time that we...
Okay, so she's saying that a complaint of men is that women have gotten out of control? And this is kind of a standard trope. Oh, men are terrified of strong women. But that's all nonsense, right? So she has a whole blog post about how she ripped the arms off her toddler after texting her husband, screaming at her children. She ripped the arms off her toddler's toy. Sorry, a bit of a correction there. She ripped the arms off her toddler's toy, beat its head with a garbage can lid, and rampaged through the house, destroying things. And then she's saying, well, how can men imagine that women are out of control? What? She's got a whole confession about this.
And that was particularly in response to her relationship with her husband and also with all of this feminist stuff. Like, you can tell she's angry that they're anti-feminist and she thinks that they're horrible because they're men talking to women. And you can tell that she is expressing herself. She's saying her opinion. She's all for that. But how often does she listen to other people in, like, how can I be a better mom? How can I be a better wife? You know what I mean? And I feel like I really liked how he broke that down to say, hey, this is something that all of us should constantly be doing in basically every single area of our lives. And so I think he did a really good job. I will be honest in that my first response when my husband told me about the video, I was like, these are such a waste of time it's almost just gossip. We're just watching crazy people and then pointing at them and saying they're worse people than us or something. But I felt like it actually was a pretty constructive video, sharing, kind of breaking down these thoughts. And I just want to add to it with women that to really encourage a growth mindset and not to have limited framing, where so often there's this, you either are a good mom or you're a bad mom. And so you cannot have times that are not good or times that just are not working well. Like this woman who is so overwhelmed and struggling with the kids and whatever, probably there's some tips and techniques and strategies that she could be learning about. But I know how people respond, and it's not just her, it's lots of other women who the knee-jerk reaction is, how dare you judge me? I am doing the best I can. Who are you to know? And the problem is, I think as a whole society and a culture, is we sort of stop caring more about the results, and we're not in this habit of excellence and this habit of growth and this habit of constructive criticism and learning and seeing things as a spectrum of how can I be a better mom. It's how can I shame people from saying anything that might indicate that perhaps I'm not as good a mom as I want to believe I am, or I wish I was. And that's not really helpful. What we want to do is we want to learn, we want to grow. And, and that's what I'm always telling my kids. It's like, I have a hard time with things. You have a hard time with things. I have a hard time with things. All of us will have a hard time with things throughout our whole lives. And the key, though, is to dig in and learn and grow. And we will make mistakes. And that is like, we are human. We don't have to judge ourselves for that. We don't have to get mad at other people who are trying to help us improve and then say, you're judging me, you're making me feel bad about myself. That's our own internal framing, and it's our own internal problem. And it is so popular in today's society, really across genders, but I do think there's a lot of specific areas of femininity that society has almost just totally said, okay, yes, like full permission to just, if you're on your period, you can just lose control of your emotions because there's nothing you can do to handle yourself if you're PMSing. And it's like, come on, stop. And that's just so popular, such a popular belief to be so limited in that. And so I think that's almost what I would take from that event of just like encouraging women, especially, I guess this event was more for even younger people. I think they're really trying to change the generations that way. I think I've had an idea. I actually wanted to do maybe a video about like homeschooling and being more intentional with your children to help them rise above these messages and identify them and really use critical thinking to figure out what is true and what is helpful. And I mean, especially as a Christian, what is biblical. But that is a pretty slow process. But so these people were talking more to that like younger women. I think they even had discounts for women who were like certain ages. But then for, as I don't know, I don't want to classify myself as an older woman exactly, but I'm not like young. I'm not in my 20s. Like we can encourage other women that we're surrounded with. And there often is, even just in Bible studies I'm in and whatever, often I find myself in situations where somebody has a problem. My advice is the exact opposite than somebody else's. Like we've got to be careful about the messaging that we're communicating back out. And I get that so often that comes from a place of, I want you to feel good about yourself now. I want you to love yourself now. I don't want you to be overwhelmed with feeling pressure of stuff. I want to show that I'm empathetic. I want to do those things. And that's so fantastic. But I would argue that in our society, we have really gone so empathetic that we're not helpful. And we have to kind of ask ourselves, do we want to be the friend who says, girl, your house is a total mess and it's fine. Nobody's worried about it. Or do you want to be the friend who says, hey, you know what? Let me come over and how about I kind of keep an eye on the kids and I can help you and I'll focus on the kids and like, let's get this done together. Like I can support you. Like what friend do you want to be? What friend do you want? What philosophy do you want to have? Do you want to have the philosophy that you are stuck until something else happens, until somebody gives you permission to actually try to improve your life? Or do you want to kind of go down the path of, I can change things now and you can do it lovingly. We can all do it lovingly. We should all, negative self-talk is not what I'm talking about, right? Like that's never helpful. Just like worry is never helpful, but making constructive choices to think differently, to take our thoughts captive, to Christians, fix your eyes on Christ and not on whatever worries you're having, because it's unbiblical to be trapped in anxiety and to just sit in it and then just identify as this anxious person, because God promises us so much more. And anyway, but it's like, do you want to go down that path or do you want to go down the path of this is where I am and I'm just going to look for other people to validate where I am because validation is what I want and not improvement. And for me personally, as somebody who dealt with depression for super long, and then, and also did kind of get stressed easily, I still am probably too sensitive and whatever. But it's like, I kind of determined for me, I would rather live a better life. And that's what this event really is about. And it's marketed towards women who are wanting a better life, and they're saying something's not working, and rather than just digging in my heels or just trying to tell myself it's not that bad, or look at other people who have worse lives, say, hey, how can I maximize what I have going for me? And I do kind of pray that with the whole fertility conversation that they're having, that is a very delicate thing, and I would urge people to be really, really careful to not make too many blanket statements about just, women, they're having a hard time having babies because they're too old and they just waited to have a career before trying. It's like, well, maybe I live in an unfortunate group of people, but I know a whole lot of women who had miscarriages in their 20s, who had a hard time with fertility in their 20s. And yes, I don't really know anybody who was trying to get pregnant in their early 20s. And maybe that is even a big difference. I'm not sure. I would have to learn some science on that. But it is an extremely sensitive topic. And so I would encourage people, as you leave comments on the internet and whatever, to just really be careful and to not just indicate, well, if you just weren't so feminist, like you could have more babies. Not saying that that's what they're saying, but they did say you can have unlimited babies, which obviously is not what they're literally promising. I would be curious, like, are they bringing in fertility experts? And then if you're a young 20s person, you probably don't really care to hear about this fertility expert. But anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts on that. Hopefully they handle that kind of sensitively, because that is one of the deepest pains that a woman can have, is when she's having a hard time getting pregnant or maintaining a pregnancy. So even though, yes, there's all kinds of leftists who are all about abortion and whatever, and it's horrendous and gruesome, but there's also a whole lot of women who really, their hearts are breaking because of this subject. So anyway, that would be my encouragement to all of you. And also, if you are a woman struggling with that, I would encourage you, one, to be open to adoption potentially, but then also, of course, to see experts and listen to people with different opinions, because that's something else. This convention seemed to be talking like we'll share the best practices for fertility, for fitness, for whatever. There are a lot of different philosophies. Even like weight loss can go alongside fertility. I do think there's a lot of bad information out there. I believe the opposite of mainstream thought on about everything, including fitness. I'd be pro intermittent fasting camp, and that can be super helpful for those topics. So if you happen to be watching this and struggling in those areas, you might check that kind of conversation out about what you can do naturally, hormonally. But then also sometimes I'll just say, like, I did take Clomid for my first two girls, and it was not a big deal at all. And I really went way bogus, crazy, upset, like emotional in my head about that whole journey. And then I just took the medication, and I didn't have any bad side effects, and then I got pregnant. And it worked out. So that's my encouragement to you. If you haven't gone down that path yet, don't label yourself as infertile and flip out about it, but just kind of take what steps you can, take to just keep moving forward in that journey. Okay, well, leave a comment with your thoughts about the convention, Make Women Great Again. What else can be done to make women great? I guess input from what men want, and also input from what do women want in your lives. I will talk to you all later. Bye.